Intro! So, I wasn't really intending on doing any of this where I am publicly rewatching the entirety of Attack on Titan up until now. But I thought I was going to do something a little bit different. And by that, I mean watching it in the Spanish dub. I recently realized that the Spanish dub is actually pretty great.
Buenos días, Poco.
Like emos, you can even compare it to the Japanese, like the intensity of the voice acting.
Buenos días, Poco.
You can have the same exact thing in Spanish. And thankfully I speak Spanish, so I feel like I'll have more of a personal connection. I have watched some scenes beforehand where it sort of just convinced me that yes, okay, the Spanish dub should be basically just as good as the Japanese dub. What inspired this idea in the first place was that I had a conversation with my mom about the Ukraine conflict going on right now. And I went on a 15-minute spiel about how great Attack on Titan is and displaying all these different complexities of war and how futile it is and how it's just a constant nonsense of violence. So I watched with her a bunch of the episodes, but I made sure to only really cover the topics that are most relevant in the Ukraine conflict, so that she could sort of see what I see in the war as somebody who watches Attack on Titan, because I guess I have more insight than everybody else, right? But I watch a lot of Attack on Titan reaction videos and everything, and honestly, I'm just like, I want to do this so bad. I want to talk about the ideas as a manga reader. I want to talk about every little detail that occurs. And I'm the type, I'm doing a PhD, so I would be the type to do a video essay on these things, but that takes so much work, and I'm a PhD student right now, and I'm just not gonna do that. I got 3 more years. I won't be able to have the time to be able to edit, and I have no experience editing. The edits that I'll be doing are pretty crude, but especially since I have an exam in 2 weeks that I haven't studied for at all, and But again, I've seen a lot of reaction videos, and honestly, you don't even need that many editing skills to be able to do it. So, since I'm going to be rewatching the anime and spending 28 hours of my life dedicated to this anyways, I might as well just actually verbalize what goes through my mind as a manga reader and revisiting every single thing that happens. And of course, I'm going to split it up into each part. So season 1, part 1, part 2, season 2, season 3, part 1, part 2, season 4, part 1, part 2, part 3. I don't know. It hasn't been announced yet, but I am excited regardless. So if I don't provide the subtitles, that means that I'm not exactly talking about the things that are being said, but rather the things that are happening on the screen. Again, like with Marco's, like, in a way, in the moment, it feels like a throwaway line where Marco's last words were, "We didn't even have a chance to talk," but that one quote really carries a lot of weight. So for the quotes like that, I'll be providing the subtitles myself. Yeah, I'll be marking whatever is a spoiler as part of the border. I'll probably border everything in red. Sure, that's what I'm gonna do. If you have not watched up to episode 87, which was retrospective, that just came out a few hours ago in my time, be cautious of the red border sections, because those will talk about the parts of the manga that have not been seen in the anime yet. But I guess that was the intro. Okay, go. Bye. Honestly, the iconic first few seconds on how it just sets the mood. Oh, I can't wait. I'm so excited. Oh, this is so good. Oh, yeah. So there's no subtitles, but if you're watching this, you know exactly what they're saying. You're not here to watch the actual episode with me, because this is not new. Woo! Okay, sorry. I love this show way too much. Yes! I don't know the words either. Of course. We know the priest knows everything.
Por favor, no le digas a nadie. No quiero que sepan que estuve llorando.
No, no lo haré. Pero no deberías llorar sin razón.
You're so
¿Por qué no lo
cute.
hablas con nuestro padre?
No seas tú.
¿Por qué estabas llorando, Eren?
Hannes! You know what? One of the things that I didn't like the
No
most,
me digas que mi casa te hizo algo, ¿eh?
one of the things that I really
¿Por qué
wanted
dices
to
que estaba
see
llorando? Ay,
was them
estás
mentioning
enojado.
Hannes more. I wanted them to mention Hannes a little bit more after he died, but you know, after it was quite a skip, an abrupt sort of change between season 2 and season 3. But man, Hannes's death scene is what convinced me to watch this in the Spanish dub, because we'll get to it, but it is one of the most heartbreaking, like the heartbreak you feel from Eren screaming in the Japanese dub. Japanese dub. The original the original language, the Spanish dub really hit home for me, because because again, it's somehow culturally they knew what it sounds like to cry in Spanish. I actually have no idea how else to describe it.
Si pasa algo, ¿cómo vas a luchar?
Ooh. If something happens, how are you going to fight?
Tú sabes.
Oh.
Hablo de cuando
He was
te
always
metes
this way,
por la muralla
y'all.
y entren
He
a
was
la
always
ciudad.
this way. You know what? Right now, I'm gonna start a drinking game. All right. Oh, this is gonna end horribly. Okay, here. I actually thought about this beforehand. 1. If Eren says anything directly related to his emotions on the rumbling, take a drink. Just not the ones that includes Tatakaye. We won't be able to get anywhere if we do that. Oh, and the other one is, if somebody says anything around Survivor's Guilt, why was I the one who lived? Actually, in today's episode, retrospective, again, I'm assuming that you got to that point. Why is it that why is it that I'm here instead of Galliard? That kind of thing. If a character says that, take a drink too. So those are the 2 conditions. Let's see how we do, because I actually don't remember how often that is. Besides Tatakaya, yeah, we're not doing that.
En los últimos 100 años.
Pero, ¿no es más peligroso estar así de despreocupados? Eso dijo mi padre.
Eso dijo el doctor.
Ooh, maybe Grisha did have more influence on Eren.
Él fue nuestro salvador después de que nos azotara aquella plaga.
Yep.
Entonces, ¿eso significa que no están preparados para enfrentarlos?
You're not ready to fight them?
¿Cómo que
Of
no?
course not.
Entonces no merecen ya.
Eren, mejor olvídate de la Legión de Exploración.
Eren. It's
¿Ahora
the
tú
same.
también quieres
It's the
burlarte de
same.
ellos?
Oh, there was a really good
Regresó la Legión de Exploración.
there was a really good a video essay that talked about freedom and how the bells define freedom. And in a future scene when we see Eren, we hear bells ringing, and just to basically repeat what he said, that basically that this is, as Eren is being eaten, this is what freedom is. And it's very interesting. I highly suggest you watch it and check it out. I'll probably link it. Ooh. This is freedom. It's hard not to really see it any other way. I know this is art. This is a story, so it could be interpreted in different ways. But once I heard that, and once I watched that video, it was just set. That's exactly how I'm gonna see it from now on.
Disculpe, mi hijo Moses no está aquí. ¿Usted sabe dónde se encuentra?
Entonces usted es su madre. Por favor, trae.
Man, Shadis. I didn't point him out in the opening scene, but it's kind of nice to know that this is Shadis, and this is just sort of a prelude to what his story is gonna be up until this episode, because he just died. So this is not spoilers. It just dropped. Man, you can almost tell from the hopeless. You can still see the hopelessness in Shadis's eye, and of course, it follows into when I first watched this, a very cringy, over exaggerated typical anime storytelling, and I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Blaming himself because it's my fault that. And then sharp cut to them walking away. Yeah, that was what I saw was cringy. But blaming himself for the death of his soldiers, of the fact that we don't know anything. He's blaming it all on himself. Square jaw, great animation, love it. And yeet. I love watching that. I don't know why. Eren. Back when they had 2 parts to the commercial break. Ah, yes, one of the more iconic scenes that we look back to recently. Grisha, oh, poor Grisha. So much is on his mind. He's already decided to go to the royal family, take the founding Titan. Oh, Carla. Yeah, you are. About to cure that ass. A lot of people have died outside the walls, blah, 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 blah. And then Grisha comes in. Why does he want to go into the Scouts? He would die with ignorance, without knowing what's outside the walls. Or else our fellow comrades. He doesn't say this, but thinking about what in terms of what Grisha is seeing is our comrades died for nothing if we do not seek out this freedom. When I come back, I'll show you the secret of the basement. In the manga, they made it more obvious that he's looking to the side because, of course, in this moment, Grisha is looking at Eren. Or at least, sorry, he's looking at himself through Eren's perspective because that's how it works. He knows Eren is there in the future. So, from the power of the attack Titan. So, they made it more obvious in the manga. I kind of wish they did show that. More foreshadowing about the fact that he's looking away from Eren as he's showing him the key. But still, very, super valid, super valid framing of this foreshadowing. Armin. And you know what? That is the heart I'm starting to regret. Maybe I'll do change. I'll put some English subtitles in a bit. But all we want is to leave. Si la gente saliera sin cuidado, atraería a los titanes a entrar a nuestra ciudad. The 2 sides of freedom, complacency in a cage and to fight to escape. They've been having these conversations since the beginning. Las personas que creen que estamos a salvo de los titanes tras estas murallas están locas. People who think are behind these. People who think they're safe behind these walls think they're safe. That's an interesting thought to have. Sort of, what would characters in different phases of their lives side with? Because if you think about it, one of the main ideas in Attack on Titan is everything that happens now within these walls is exactly what's happening on the outside. Eren destroying the world is basically just Eren killing people who that he knows. Like it's basically exact copies. People like his mother. Maybe it may or may not be a quote for later. I don't know. But I know, of course, Eren says in a few moments. Yes. Bust it open, Bertold. Bust it open. Again, I was about to say, Eren in a few moments has said, I'm gonna kill them all. We haven't heard this since Two Brothers. And before then, we haven't heard it in forever. I guess we'll find out specifically when, once I go through this entire show. And to think that this moment right here is the last time Eren's gonna see his hometown until Season 3, Episode 19, The Basement. There's a specific sort of feeling you get once you see the retrospective on how final these moments are. And we just started. It's just so crazy. Just so crazy. I'm gonna be saying, that's probably the thing I'll be saying a lot. Just saying. Dina Fritz, man. Eren, beautiful detail that Eren was always willing to hurt himself to fight for the lives of the people that he cares about. Biting his hand to turn into a Titan, not even something that he would even be bothered by. I saw a theory about Hannes' final moments and actually I'll pause it right here for a moment because there's a lot to think about. But like when Hannes dies, there's this, for me it was actually very tragic how he just looked at Eren as he died, and I still feel it, man. Because again, it was one of the scenes. It was one of the first scenes I saw in the Spanish dub, and again, it just reopened that wound. But you know, there was a Reddit post that described how Hannes felt relief that in his decision, because he died anyways, like even with the fury of 1,000 suns and the motivate and like basically fully prepared to kill this Titan with all his might, as untrained as he is. People forget about that. He's not really trained to fight Titans as our scouts do, so that's why he lost. But especially so easily. He's just swinging around. He's like, I don't know when to hit. But our scouts would have figured it out. But again, you know, that the Reddit post described how this relief that he made the right decision to run away at this moment, because even at his best, he was not able to beat the Titan. And if he made that decision before, he wouldn't have been there to save Eren. And the reason why I cut this into its own episode is because the first episode is just so important, with these little details that sort of hint towards literally the rest of the show. And, you know, the rest of the episodes are obviously have that as well, but the first episode is the most important thing because if we look back to it time and time and time and time and time again. So, man, it's a beautiful show. I could repay my debt with her. Dinah Fritz.
Muchas gracias, Hannes.
Keep fighting. Keep living. I said fighting, that's not what she said, but that's how Eren interprets it. She parts those words and now she doesn't want to die. See what I mean by the dub is so good? You see her kicking, she was lying about her legs being broken. I doubt even Eren knows that. Was this a good idea to binge the entire show? I don't know. Can you tell in my voice that I'm super depressed? the look in Eren's eyes. He will kill them all. Man. Continuará. Whew. This wasn't a good idea, was it? So yeah, that was the first episode. One thing that sort of comes to mind is the fact that Eren is doing the same exact thing to the rest of the world, you know. So he's made this decision to basically do this exact thing to the rest of the world, if not actually worse, because of the fact that they're colossal titans. Regardless, on both situations, no one could do anything but run. And thankfully, in our case, Eren had the option to go into an inner wall to run from, but in the rumbling, you know, there is nowhere to run because everything's going to be destroyed. So just remember that Eren knows this. He knows that he's doing this exact thing to other people. He knows that there are people exactly like him who are going to die without knowing why this is happening on a random day. So, complexities of Eren Yeager. But yeah, no, I guess that sort of wraps up this sort of preview into this series of retrospectives that I'm going to be doing over the next few months because I really enjoy Attack on Titan, and I'm just doing the same thing I'm doing usually, which is obsessively watch Attack on Titan. Just again, this time in the Spanish dub, so that I get sort of a first time feel for it, because once you watch enough reactions and you watch every episode at least 15 times, there's only so many times when you hear Yamada, you know, like it gets a lot. But, you know, hearing it in the Spanish dub in my own language, it just, like, you kind of saw it now. Like, I've seen this scene so many times, and every time I hear Eren scream Yamato now, it feels kind of the same. But when he was screaming, I didn't even think about what he was screaming, what it translates to. I probably gave it to you, but it broke my heart. It definitely broke my heart. In a way that it didn't before. So I'm actually really looking forward to how I'm gonna feel. I'm gonna feel depressed, that's for sure, but there is something unique that comes from the fact that I'm hearing it in a language that I understand. And you might be thinking, what about the English dub? No. The English dub is not the vibe. I don't know why, but any sort of a lot of sub people can understand me in the notion that the voice acting is not really the same. But again, I feel like this is gonna be a ride with the Spanish dub.
Buenos días, Poco.
So I guess until next time, I have no idea. I have no schedule for this. I have an exam, a very important exam to study in 2 weeks. But regardless, I'm gonna be watching a lot of Attack on Titan, so it's whatever. You know what? I'll officially make Sunday the day that we that I'll post these retrospectives. And again, I'll try to post because again, I'm obsessively watching Attack on Titan over and over again. So I'll probably post a part every Sunday from here on out. But let's see how that goes. So yeah, I don't really have anything for you. You could subscribe if you want, but I don't really have plans after this. But I just really want a community to really like discuss Attack on Titan in a retrospective, and it just so happens that the episode that dropped today was named retrospective. So yeah, no, this was a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. Really props to all you reactors out there that do this every week for multiple shows, for multiple times, that post multiple times a week. You know, this is a really big thing for me. So, yeah, no, I'll see you another time.
Eren, ¿por qué estás llorando?
Why are you crying? Manga portion. Just the way that, you know, they didn't do the why was your hair long? That was one detail from the manga that I remember. But it's very interesting they went with that choice of not saying that. But I wonder if that, you know, I wonder if that means that something will be different. I know right now there's a discussion about whether the anime will have its own unique ending. I don't know, it could be a hint, but man, I right now in my head I have this image of you wrap this scarf around me, arigato. Like that hurts my soul. Like knowing that this is the scene that immediately follows one of the last scenes in the manga. Who else is with me? Armin really represents the core of the story, and of course he's one of the last ones that stands, and that really takes a stand in the end to represent what it is like to move forward from this cycle. And from one of his first few scenes is him saying, the only reason why you're fighting me is because you can't win with words. And that is just one of the core things that we're talking about now in the show, especially back when everybody was around the campfire and saying, if we just had a moment to just talk, then all this violence wouldn't have happened. And again, this is his first scene, and it's just the beauty of the Attack on Titan characters is that everything is laid out to you. They don't really change. You know why? Because it's only been a few years for them. Like, and they're kids. They're like 10 years old right now. I actually have no idea. But, you know, it's 9 years later, less than double their life is just so much violence and like just seeing everybody die around them, you know. It's very interesting how, psychologically speaking, it's very consistent that these are very young people. They're very impressionable, and the experiences that we have in the critical age of like 12 to 19, I believe it was, form our philosophy for the rest of our lives. Manga section, you know, once thinking about Bertolt falling down and getting out of his Titan. And well, you're gonna hear this. If I put this in a manga section, you just heard that again. But also just having the smile, Dina's Titan just walk past Bertolt. I love that they actually paused for a few seconds in the anime version to show, and there was a reactor who actually noticed, like, oh, why did Dina ignore Bertolt? Like you know, it was a noticeable thing that I'm excited to see how people are going to react to once that becomes a point in Eren's decisions.